Hey there, Christy with Automation on a Mission. And in this video, we're going to talk about wallets and transaction history in Automation on a Mission. Now, it is not uncommon. It's kind of like a every few months kind of thing that we get a question from a member about, hey, I just had this transaction come through from Automation on a Mission and I don't understand why. Can you please help me? Or I was in the middle of this big marketing campaign and it just stopped all of a sudden and only 700 of my 3,000 emails got out the door. Please help me figure out why. So this video, we're going to talk about those things and how to make your life a little bit less of an accounting nightmare or a clerical challenge, and also just sort of how to play it safe in the system. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is thank you to the member who donated their live real customer account so that we can actually walk through this process. I needed real data to be able to show you real information. All right, so I'm going to pause this video from time to time so that I can protect any sensitive client data. All right, so the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to click on settings in the bottom left-hand corner. And by default, the settings are going to take us to the business profile. And what I want you to do is I want you to click on billing. As you hit the billing screen, what you're going to find is a couple of tabs up here. And if you've been with Automation on a Mission for a long time, you might find that this looks very different than it used to look. And the reason for that being is that we now have the ability to create different versions of Automation on a Mission for different kinds of industries. So your version of Automation on a Mission is going to show up here. And it's also going to say what your current payment status is. Like, are you paying on a monthly basis? Are you paying on an annual basis? And how much are you paying? You might have something about how you can go about managing your subscription and who do you get in touch with if you have billing issues or concerns or need support with billing and things like that. The next tab over is payments. So I want to click on payments. And what we see here is going to be payment history for your account. So under this section here, you've got our payment method. And I actually love that she needs to update her card to one with a current expiration date. Because when it stopped being a functional card, it actually gives her a little red alert to say, hey, update your card. You'll also notice that you've got a little pencil here and a little pencil here. And that's because as your payment information, billing address, things like that change, you have the ability to come in here and do this yourself. So if you wanted to, let's say, update your payment information, maybe your address has changed, something along those lines, you can come in here and take care of that yourself, and then you don't ever have to worry about it causing you a problem later on. And then down below, and this is actually perfect timing because it's January 2025 and people are like starting to get their accounting details in order, you can see copies of the invoices for every single payment you've made to our system when it comes to like your monthly subscriptions and things like that. The next one is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time. So I want you to click on wallet and transactions. And under this, on this screen, this is where people have it, the biggest like aha moments and also the biggest head scratchers. So on this screen, it's going to tell you what your current balance is and where all of your money is going. So when we sell Automation on a Mission, we typically say to people, you get 5,000 emails and or 500 text messages and minutes. And the way that we do that is we add a balance into your wallet every month, and that covers those things. Now, when we first started Automation on a Mission, those were essentially the only things that you would potentially be paying for. But over the years, things have changed in terms of how people email, how people use phone services, and they're out of our control. So for example, when you are getting your phone number registered for the ability to use it for texting and things like that, you have to pay about $12 to get it certified. Amber is really good at A2P certification on the first try, which is amazing. I don't actually know how she does it. If you ever want to know, I'm sure she could geek out with you. Anyways, point being, there's additional costs that sometimes come up. Other things might be things like premium actions. So if you're using the AI feature as a part of the system, there's usually a warning to let you know, hey, there's a cost associated with this. And the reason being, it is a resource-driven event. And there's a finite amount of, I guess, free services before you have to pay for it. So just like email, just like phone, anything above and beyond whatever we cover in your balance every month, you're going to pay for at cost. So we're not charging you some sort of big upsell. We're literally just making sure that we are covering our expenses, and that would include those credit card processing fees. And that would be a good segue into talking about this part right here. So when somebody signs up for Automation on a Mission, by default, the settings are to auto recharge your balance to $10 when the balance reaches $0. So remember when we first started this video, I talked about the person sending the 3,000 person email campaign and it stalls out. So that happens when you're in the middle of a campaign and your balance hits zero. It's not going to allow you to run your account into the negative. It's going to stop until the account replenishes and then start again. So my recommendation, and this is my recommendation for everybody all the time, is to increase your recharge to some higher amount and increase your balance so that it's not zero. And that what that's going to do is allow you to continue sending emails, continue sending text messages, even when you're even if the number of emails you need to send is greater than your balance, it has time to process the payment, so that you don't end up with a stall. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense since I'm talking to myself. So my recommendation is choose an amount that's comfortable for you and choose a balance above zero so that you don't have to worry about it preventing your emails from going out. The other thing that happens here is it's also going to just sort of reduce the number of emails and accounting transactions you have. So if your account is at $10 and you have like a really big email list, or you're just in the middle of a lot of stuff, so you're sending a lot of emails, you're sending a lot of text messages, you're making a lot of phone calls, every time your balance runs out and it charges the card, that's another transaction that you have to account for in your accounting. So, and by the way, every single transaction you have to account for, I have to account for it twice. So, it would be really great if people would, if all of our members would adjust this to whatever they're comfortable with. Like I said before, anything over the $0 is going to help you protect your account and protect your initiatives, whatever you're doing. Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to cover was, how do you know exactly what you're paying for? So this is going to give you information about the current month and the previous 2 months. And what it's doing is it's giving me like buckets of expenses. So you can see A2P Fast Track. So A2P costs about $12. If you want to skip the line, I think there's a premium cost associated with that. Things like making phone calls, if you're using the AI tool as a part of the system, if you're using the voice AI, if you are buying a domain from inside our system, which I don't ever advertise, so you probably wouldn't even know, there's costs associated with that. So far this month, she spent $5.11. Where did she spend it? She sent out 156 emails, which totaled 16 cents. And she has 2 phone numbers that she's paying $4.95 for. Okay, so what did she buy in December? She bought 10 cents worth of emails and $4.95 worth of phones. Now you can see that it's not giving you an itemized list. So let's say, for example, you're like, okay, I really question how I possibly spent 10 cents on emails. I don't remember doing anything. Okay, no big deal. So if you notice here, we see summary and then we see detailed transactions. So I'm going to click on the detailed transactions and show you all the way down to the micro penny how you can track exactly what you're paying for. When we click on our detailed transactions, and I've joked from time to time about how you can actually go down to the micro penny or the micro penny. What you look at when you see detailed transactions is every single email. So let's say, for example, because I don't do math, you sent an email to 10 people. Every person that receives that email is a single transaction. And that one single transaction costs you this much dollars. And you can see as it starts to tick away at the total balance of the wallet. So this is kind of like your check register for all of us older folks that used to have to manage a check register. And you have the ability to come in here and look at every single itemized transaction down to the millipenny, micro penny, if that's something that you really want to do. Fortunately, I'm not the one responsible for the accounting. The system takes care of it for me, but I really want you to know and understand the transparency that's involved in making sure that you understand where every single dollar and cent goes, that we are charging you, and how we try to create opportunities for savings, try to create ease for you and your business, and all of that kind of good stuff. So as a quick recap, detailed transactions down to the micro penny. Summary is going to show you the most recent 3 months transactions. If we look at our wallet and transactions, this is the current status of our wallet. I can recharge with a certain amount of money when it hits a certain threshold. I can see my payments and I can see my subscription status. So those are all of the different things. And all of this you have control over. You get to decide exactly how you want to manage this so that it's within your comfort levels. As always, we welcome any questions, comments, or concerns. Thanks so much.